Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men have asked me for the right words to say to be more attractive, desirable, and more of a leader. And I've found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines. Because at the root of a connected and affectionate relationship and being more effective and inspiring at work is your ability to influence others. But most often, influence is not gained or lost with words. It's from what I call the invisible factors. So I created a quick guide for you called 3 Ways Men Lose Influence at Work and with Women, so you can understand how these invisible factors work and what has women and colleagues both more inspired to say yes. I think you're also going to be surprised to find out the moment when your influence actually begins. So grab the guide for free at shanajamescoaching.com/3ways. That's shanajamescoaching.com/3 and the word ways, WAYS. Or you can text ALIVE to 44144. That's the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144. I hope you enjoy the guide and this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. Today's episode is a little bit different because normally I'm here with a guest, but today I am here alone. I've been considering doing this for a while, and today's topic actually feels like a really great one to do a solo episode. So if it's your first time listening, you can check out my bio on my website, shanajamescoaching.com. And I'll just say for now that I've had the honor of coaching men and women for 15 years in the realms of love and leadership as well. And it's been an incredibly powerful experience to see inside the minds and hearts of men and women, and to really honestly see how challenged most of us are to feel good about ourselves, and how challenging it can be to connect with others because we're so busy protecting ourselves or trying to prove ourselves. So today I want to talk about a surprising, you could call it a power or a skill, that I see that men who are high performing in their careers and who women tend to really like and want, this power or skill that these men use that you may not think of, right? It may be surprising to you. When used, this power brings remarkable results into men's lives. And the men I've worked with who've cultivated it are proof that you can really be respected and admired and even desired as soon as you walk into a room, right? Without needing good looks or faking confidence. This can actually happen. That you can have your choice of career, of women, right? Instead of taking what you can get, or some men come to me saying, I've never really been the one to initiate a relationship. I've been in relationship with women who want me. But this power actually makes it possible, or makes it more likely, for women to be drawn to you and to connect with you. The men I've worked with who've cultivated this power have also experienced, I would say, previously unimagined heights of success, of pleasure, of passion in their love and sex lives, and even a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. So this is a big one. And when not used, it has serious costs on how happy you are and how loved and understood and admired you are. It limits the love, the success, the personal fulfillment. It limits your sex life, right? It causes women to say no to dates, affection, and sex. So before I dive into this power, I'm going to leave you hanging for a moment. I want to first share for a moment why women are one of the most powerful ways to accelerate your growth and success. And I was writing about this a couple years ago. I was thinking back to 15 years ago or so when I started working with men, and I started coaching for the Authentic Man program. And our role as women was to come in and give men honest and loving feedback. right? To say the things that women weren't willing to say or wouldn't say. A lot of women, if you are dating, they're not invested in you. And so if you turn them off or they don't trust you or they feel weird around you, they're not going to say so. They're just going to either disappear or just say, yeah, I'm not that into you, or I'm not really excited about a second date. If you're married to someone, she may not be saying things, but she may not be as affectionate or as connected or as sexual with you. So this happens both single and in relationship, that women don't always say what's true for them. And not to blame it on them, because sometimes women don't even necessarily know. They can have a feeling something doesn't feel quite right, or I don't feel connected, but they don't always know why. So one of my favorite exercises in the Authentic Man program was called the silent approach. And I actually had dinner. I was at a dinner party recently with a man who I'd met years and years ago at the Authentic Man program. And he was telling someone else about how we met. And he was saying how terrifying it was, that basically what would happen is men would silently walk up to me and another woman or other women who were there and just stand in front of us without saying a word and pause. And we would give feedback and reflection about what they were evoking in us, right? What we were feeling in their presence. And I wrote this about it. So I'm going to read this and then I'm going to say a little bit more. A man walks up to me. He stops. He looks at me silently. In a few moments, with no words exchanged between us, I am filled with thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. I can feel his strength as well as how he holds back, is afraid, or is uncomfortable with his desires, power, or truth. I can tell whether he would be the kind of lover who could attune to my heart and body, who could open me into surrender, or one who would be selfish, distracted, or sloppy. I can tell whether he trusts himself to take risks and go after his dreams, or whether he's playing small and letting his fear run the show. I can tell whether he's open to receive love, support, and pleasure, or is trying to defend his masculinity by posturing or faking confidence. Within a few moments, all of this is apparent to me. Part of what was thrilling about this exercise for me is that I really got to see how tuned in I am to the people around me. And I learned to trust myself. So it may not be that I'm feeling exactly what a man is feeling, right? There are a couple different ways here. One is either I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling and I'm aware of that, which may not make sense. Sometimes I'm feeling what he's feeling, right? I can actually tune in and feel like, oh, he seems really sad, or he seems really scared, or something like that. Sometimes I'm feeling my own reaction to him, right? So he might seem familiar to me, or he might seem, there's like a familiar distance that one of my ex-boyfriends or my father or something, right? So it's not like I'm telling him in this exercise what he's feeling, but I'm giving real-time, honest feedback as a woman and getting to value my own perspective and my own opinion, and also getting to serve him by sharing this, right? For a man to know there's something about me in this moment that this woman doesn't find trustworthy, or there's something about me in this moment with this woman that is turning her off, right? It's not that I am speaking for all women in all moments, but when I talk about how women are actually one of the fastest ways to accelerate your growth and learning about yourself, right? When you're willing to receive the feedback or the truth in the moment that a woman is expressing, you can learn incredible things about yourself that then allow for deeper connection and more passion, and ultimately more fulfillment for yourself, whether or not a woman's in the picture. That was one of my favorite things about this as well, right? That it's not just I'm giving a man feedback for um, his relationships with women, it's also so that he can feel good about himself no matter who he's with. You can ask any woman to do this with you. It's a little different, I would say, after 2 decades of cultivating my psychological and emotional and physical and spiritual capacities, right? They've heightened my awareness. And so when a man comes to me, I can quickly see and understand what's keeping him stuck or unsatisfied or thinking that what he wants is impossible. But you can also start to ask women for feedback around you. And you can let them know, make it safe for them, that you really want this, that you're asking for this, and that you want the truth. So, this exercise is also connected with this unknown power that I'm about to tell you, because how women respond to you is mostly not based in the words you're using, but everything under the surface. So, in my course on invisible influence, I talk about all of the invisible factors that women and people in general are responding to. But for today, we're really just going to talk about one of them. Okay, you ready? So, what is the unknown or surprising power that will accelerate your career and really increase your confidence with women? And what is it that will have women actually want to be closer to you and feel more connected to you and want to say yes to you more? The power is mastering your attention. So, when you master your attention, and I'll get into a little bit more about what that actually looks like, when you master your attention, people are thrilled to support your missions and your visions. And you actually get to spend more time feeling vital and inspired because your attention isn't drifting and distracted. And these days it's so easy to drift and distract and get caught up in emails and texts and ads and all of that, right? When you master your attention, you're actually focused more on what matters to you. When you master your attention, you're more likely to be desired and chosen as a partner or a lover instead of being seen as a friend. And your romantic relationship can actually stay hot and intimate for many years and decades rather than becoming a disappointing or kind of platonic, roommate situation. And when you master your attention, you also feel confident and powerful to generate what you want in life rather than getting stuck in fear or self-doubt. The other amazing thing about mastering your attention is it activates a part in you that doesn't have to really try or do much of anything to be noticed and to be respected and even desired. And one of my clients the other day just said, God, life is changing so much. I'm now dating this gorgeous woman and, things are getting better all over the place. And I feel like I'm not doing anything. And that is my favorite response from my clients, because what that tells me is we've worked on the underlying levels, these invisible factors that are having people start to respond differently without actually needing to say or do anything different. So when this activation happens, my clients have found women staring at them from across the room or the grocery store. And they've had bosses and colleagues comment on how effective and productive their work has become. And so mastering your attention, it may seem a little amorphous in this moment, but it can create powerful changes in your life and really fast. Now, there are 3 attention shifts that I think give you the biggest bang for your buck as you step onto the path of mastering your attention. And I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll go into them. So the first shift is to shift your attention from your mind to your body. And this doesn't mean never to use your mind again. It's more of an expansion, right? Most of us spend most of the day in our heads thinking and intellectualizing. And so the shift is to expand from your mind to your body. The second one is to shift from past or future thinking to being right here and conscious in this moment right now. And the third one is to shift from inside or internal awareness to outside or external awareness. And what I mean by that is I was, um, I often ask men in sessions when we're role playing or practicing conversation, how much of your attention is on you and how much of your attention is on me? And so often it's more than 60, 70% is on themselves because they're trying to figure out what's the next right thing to say? What's the question I'm going to ask? Am I doing this right? And when you actually shift and master your attention to be able to turn it outside of yourself and put it on the woman or person you're talking to, that's when things get really interesting. All right, let's take a couple minutes and look at each of these shifts so you can master your attention and you can start trying this right away. So, number one, shift from mind to body. First of all, take a moment and I'm going to ask you a question and consider your answer, and then we'll see what happens. I'm going to see if this is happening for you. So, what are you feeling right now? What are you feeling right now? And just come up with an answer. First answer off the top of your head. Don't take too long. Now, see if what happens for most of the men I work with happened for you. Often, when I ask a man what he's feeling, he responds with, I think, or I think I feel, or, but mostly it's I think or something I'm thinking. And what this shows me is that his attention is more on his thoughts than his body. So if that happened for you, make note of it, right? Because when most of your attention is focused on your thoughts, your impact on people tends to be more mental or intellectual. If you're attempting to have an impact that is more romantic or sexual, sensual, if you're on a date or you're with a partner or wife, then you want to be having more of an impact on a woman's body. And you can't do that if you're not aware of your own body. And so when you shift your attention from your mind to expand, again, we're not getting rid of the mind necessarily, but we're expanding to also pay attention to your body, and you begin to interact with more than your thoughts, you can often ignite attraction without even trying. I was thinking, I mentioned the supermarket. I had a client whose son actually was the one who started noticing that women were checking him out from across the restaurant and circling the aisles in the supermarket to get closer to him, right? He hadn't said a word to them, and they were already drawn to him. And it was after we started working on him shifting his attention from only thinking to experiencing the world through his body, which is an interesting way to say it. It might not make sense at first, but when you look at something in the room, if you look, I'm looking at a bookshelf, right? My first thought is generally, I'm going to read the title or I'm going to think about something, but I also have responses, emotional responses, and I have physical responses when I look at colors or when I look at shapes or when I look at a book and I have a memory, right? So you're in mastering your attention, you're going to start to practice paying attention to more than just your thoughts. And as you start interacting with other people, what that makes possible is that they are also aware of their body as well. Now, this isn't athleticism, right? A lot of athletes are very active in their bodies, but they can still be pretty heady. Paying attention to your body and mastering your attention on your body is closer to presence, being aware of and attuned to yourself, right? And to people and the world around you. And again, it's more like paying attention through your body and emotions and what you feel and sense rather than just what you intellectually know. And, science has shown that we as people are like tuning forks and we resonate with each other. So you can wake up a woman's body from just being more present in your own and not having to say or do anything. All right, so if you want to practice this one, what you can start doing is experiment with paying attention as you make decisions. And you can even do this with small decisions, ordering food or big decisions like your next business move. Notice what your mind is telling you and then take some time, and it often takes a little bit of time and quiet to listen to your emotions and your bodily sensations. And it takes a little time because at first your body's communication is going to be quieter than your thoughts because you're more used to using your thoughts. But your body holds incredible wisdom about your life decisions. And it's similar to knowing something in your gut rather than just based in logic. And when you do this, life becomes more pleasurable because you're going to start to feel things rather than just think about them. And one of I often use sex as a concrete way for people to understand things, because imagine what happens in your sex life as you awaken your body and you can feel more and more sensations in every inch of your body, right? Your sex life becomes much more pleasurable and much more passionate. And who doesn't want that, right? Okay, shift number 2 in mastering your attention is going from past or future thinking to now. These days, I would say it's, more than ever, we can easily be pulled out of the current moment and we can be distracted, like I said. And our minds tend to conjure up ideas and fears about the future, right? What if is a common rut we can get stuck in. And when most of your attention is on the past or the future, you miss the aliveness that's possible right now. And even seemingly subtle experiences can come alive when you pay attention to this moment right now. One of the other things I often talk about with men is how attraction really builds in the space between. It's kind of like the notes, the space between the notes of music, in the silence between the words. That's actually where attraction is building. And when you're thinking about the past or thinking about the future, you're filling in all that space and all that permeability and connection that you have with the person across from you. You're mucking it up and filling it in, and the attraction doesn't get to ignite. When you master paying attention to this moment, you start to notice more. You notice the other person's tone of voice, facial expressions, choice of words, right? What someone says or how they say it, discrepancies between words and energy, or, you said that you had a great day, but when I look at your face, you're frowning. And these discrepancies and these, again, more invisible factors that are happening begin to guide your interactions to help make decisions and have more meaningful connections and more passion. And the more aware you are of now, the less you have to come up with the right question or thing to say. This is what I love when I practice conversations too, is that when you're actually paying attention, you're going to have many different options of what to follow up on, right? There's no right question that's going to come from being in your head and not really listening to the other person across from you. You want to pay attention to where that person suddenly seemed more moved or more frustrated, or, started seeming more dreamy, or suddenly got lit up about something, right? So when you're paying attention to this moment, you suddenly have this huge tool belt with the tools that actually have people trust you and respect you and feel more connected to you. And again, you get to do less and have people feel more profoundly connected to you, more trust in you, more safe with you, because you're really there, right? You're not, again, going back to shift number 1, you're not in your head trying to figure things out. You're actually able to connect with that person. So if you want to start to practice this one, I would say start to pay attention to the subtleties of what people are saying in your conversations. And try to let go of planning or figuring out your next response or question and getting ahead of yourself. And instead, notice those more subtle, or I would even call them bordering on invisible layers of expression and what is being said or unsaid. If you want to take it a step farther, you can share something that stood out to you or ask a question you became curious about. right? And notice how you get to work less. It's less hard, less effortful, and you start to have even more powerful interactions. All right, let's go to shift number 3, which is shifting your attention from inside or the internal of yourself to the external. Now, I also don't want to say that paying attention to yourself is bad in any way, shape, or form. I think it's great, right? The more you can learn to be aware of what's going on inside of you, your emotions, your sensations, your thoughts, all of it, the better. So definitely keep doing that. But this one's important, especially in the realms of relationship and, even in business, if you're having meetings where you feel nervous or you're not feeling as confident, because our minds tend to obsess on our self-talk, where they get stuck in patterns where we're paying more attention to fear than who or what is in front of you, right? Which I'm calling outside. And it's so common. When you master your ability to pay attention to the person in front of you rather than what's going on inside of you, and those questions of, am I good enough? Am I attractive? Is this working? Is this person, buying what I'm selling, right? Does this person believe me? All those questions. When you shift from those to actually discovering the person in front of you, a whole world opens up. So if there's a woman in front of you, instead of focusing on those questions, does she think I'm funny? Am I too old? Am I too short? Any of the things that come up where you might doubt yourself, focus on her. Who is this woman in front of me? What does she enjoy? What does she struggle with? What is she thinking or feeling right now? What does she believe in? Each person is like a whole universe when you start to pay attention. There's endless, there are endless things to ask about. There's always something happening. And remember from the last one, all the things you can pay attention to, not just the words, but body language, facial expression, tone of voice, even how a person's breathing can give you a lot of insight into that person. Well, I would say that what's happening outside of you is actually a lot more interesting than most of what's happening inside your mind, especially when it comes to self-doubt. So if you want to practice with this one, start to pay closer attention as you have a conversation. And if you're focusing on your internal monologue, trying to figure out the next right question, start to shift your attention outward. And see if you can find at least 3 things you wouldn't normally have noticed or you hadn't noticed already. And then you can follow up on that by commenting on what you noticed or asking a question. And again, your interactions are going to become a lot richer and more interesting. All right, so that is your unknown or surprising power that men who are, like I said, men who are doing well, men who are respected, men who are listened to, men who are wanted, they may not even know that they're doing this, right? Sometimes it's actually better to learn from someone who has struggled in this domain and then is, more consciously doing it. But sometimes men are naturals at this and they don't even realize what it is that's having them be more successful or be wanted by women. All right, I don't want to overload you, so I'm going to leave it at that for today. When you look in the show notes of today's episode, you'll also find another guide on 3 ways men lose influence at work and with women. And you'll also find a link to tell me a little bit more about yourself and your challenges if you're wanting more support. So if there's anything you need, if you are struggling in dating or in your relationship, or if you're, in transition in your career, you're wanting to step up, you're wanting promotion, or even some men come to me when they've just gotten a promotion and it's challenging, right? And they don't feel like they can talk about it with anyone else because who are they going to say it to? The person who just gave them the promotion or the team, who they're serving or supporting? it can often feel like the higher you get in your career, the fewer people you have that you can really be honest with. So whatever your struggle, check out the notes in the show notes. Check out the link there. And if you are wanting more support, I've got a couple spots open this spring for coaching. And otherwise, I hope you stick around and continue to listen to more Man Alive episodes and continue to let me know what it is you want and what you want me to cover. All right. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope it gives you a sense of what's possible and how good your life can be. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe to Man Alive and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to shanajamescoaching.com/manalive to get outtakes, videos, and raw footage I only share there. These are some of the most interesting parts of these expert conversations. You can also grab your copy of The Unknown Power to accelerate your career and solidify your confidence with women, because the two are related, and I know you don't have to settle for one or the other. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.